back to this idea of lenses. Because here's what I want to leave you with today as you walk out of this place. Because I think that you want to be people, I hope you are, that want to be more influential for Christ, and that you want to view life with the right perspective. It's an assumption there, but I think I'm okay saying that. Because by having a godly viewpoint, we have the opportunity to be very influential. Number one in your notes there on the end, bottom part, godly influence is defined by integrity and a fear of God. We just read that in verses 1 and 2 of that section, because Nehemiah didn't choose the wealthiest, the most shrewd, the most intelligent person to look over the city. He looked for someone who had integrity and who was running hard after God. That's who he wanted to run his city. Because if you have that kind of heart and you have that kind of integrity, you make good decisions. You can live with integrity. You make good decisions. Because that's who we ought to be. We ought to be people that are striving after that in our own lives, to be people of integrity. Sometimes, though, integrity is misunderstood, I think. Don't you think? I look at Tobiah, who's looking at Nehemiah, and he's going, this guy just wants to build another kingdom and take me over and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's man's eyes. That's the wrong lens, because Nehemiah had integrity, didn't he? And you read this story, you see a man that has a lot of integrity. Because it's hard when you look at life through man's perspective, because you don't get the godly understanding looking at life that way. I tell this to the worship team, and I'm going to say it to you because I think it's important. As you're living a life of integrity and as you're running hard after God, allow yourself to be defined by God and not by man. Because in that definition, when you're allowing God to say, this is who you are, you're a person of faith and of integrity and of peace and of love. When you hear those things from God, that changes the way you interact with people. And those are important things. We need to be people like that. Number 2, godly influence recognizes that we can't do it alone. Nehemiah knew that he was going to involve a bunch of people in this. Nehemiah could not have built that by himself. It was impossible. Or it would have taken a long, long time. Yeah. Because that was a God thing that he was calling. It's interesting, the end result of a God calling is never about that one person. It always seems to be about a whole bunch of people, a whole group of people. I think of people like Moses and of Noah and of Peter and all of these guys who had a godly calling, a kingdom type of calling on their life that impacted so many other people. But the calling's never about that one person. It's about the influence that they can have by being obedient and trusting that God's going to do something significant with them. I think of Noah, and because of his obedience, the human race got a second chance. Moses led an entire people group into the promised land. And Peter, by being obedient, brought salvation to the Gentiles. That's pretty significant. It's never about the one person. It's always about the larger good, what God can impact through your life.